Hey, we are ready to start our next session on general pathology in the India's biggest medical PG prep academic event, the DAMS Visual Treat 2023, covering all 19 subjects in 7 days. We are going great guns and let us keep it up because apna time upon khud laega. The general pathology session shall be taken up by our esteemed faculty, Dr. Shagun Mehta, MD Pathology, who has great insight of the subject. You can look forward to get your complete concepts cleared like crystal. We welcome Dr. Shagun Mehta, who's going to take general pathology for you. Over to you, ma'am.
So yes, good evening everyone. Good evening. I know last session for today, energy we have to keep high. It is difficult. I know we are studying pathology since afternoon. मुझे पता है बहुत मुश्किल है. It is very difficult, but please keep a smile on your face, because if you are smiling, then here I am smiling. I want all of your energy to come to me. Yes, I can see so many messages. Good evening, good evening. Okay, so without further ado, let us start with the journal pathology part. So, today what we are going to do is we are going to study the most underrated part of pathology, because so many students, they come to me and they ask me, ma'am, we are done with pathology, we are done with systemic, we are done with hemat. These are the important things. Ma'am, if we leave journal pathology, is it okay? Ma'am, only one or two question, or even if question come, even if we leave, to chalega kya, ma'am? So the answer that I want to give you is that I agree it is difficult to know what to study in general path, from where to study, how much to study. I know that, because it is the most underrated and the neglected part of pathology. But we are going to solve that issue. How? In the book in front of you, you are going to see so many crisp and concise tables, and those tables I have personally made on the basis of Robbins. So I am going to teach you Robbins and only Robbins, right? So with this, I'm going to first start with the first topic here. So if I see here, what I'm noticing here, that I have been given a keyword, that is smoker. Yes, so chronic smoker I have in front of me, and in the image that is being in front of me is, it is saying that the normal lining of the respiratory tract is your ciliated columnar epithelium. So this is my ciliated columnar epithelium. If I see, all this is my ciliated columnar array. This is replaced by the stratified squamous epithelium. So my columnar layer is replaced by my stratified squamous epithelium. So that means, yes. So that means here I am dealing with squamous metaplasia. I am dealing with squamous metaplasia. Do these people of squamous metaplasia, do they have any risk of developing something in future? Yes, they do have a risk. They have a risk of developing SCC lung, squamous cell carcinoma lung, in future. Now, if I'm talking about metaplasia, so how can I forget one more metaplasia which is seen in chronic GERD patients? What happens in GERD patients? That there is acid reflux from the stomach in the lower 1/3 of the esophagus. Now, what is the normal lining of esophagus? Stratified squamous. Because of the acid reflux, this squamous lining is replaced by, yes, columnar lining. So if I see here, this is my stratified squamous lining. Now this is replaced by my, yes, columnar lining. But how do I know that this columnar lining is of intestine? Yes, I need to know that, because if I have an esophageal biopsy and I need to make sure that this is an intestinal columnar lining, I need to have presence of these cells, these goal circular cute cells. Which cells I'm talking about? Yes, I'm talking about Absolutely correct. Goblet cells. I can see so many people answering correctly. Very good. And that's why goblet cells are called as the diagnostic cells or the hallmark cells of the Barrett's esophagus. And please remember, goblet cells, what do they contain? They contain mucin. Goblet cells contain mucin. Okay, so this is an important point that you have to remember, and basically here which condition I am dealing? I am dealing here with Barrett's esophagus. I am talking about Barrett's esophagus. So if an esophageal biopsy is in front of me and I see my squamous lining changing into intestinal columnar lining by the presence of goblet cells containing mucin, I know that I am dealing with a case of Barrett's esophagus. Okay, now coming to the next image. Okay, so the next 6 images that are in front of you, in these 6 images, we are going to compile your entire necrosis. So first image that I'm going to refer right now, if you see, I'm going to zoom it. I'm going to zoom it for all of you. If I'm going to see here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to divide this image from here into 2 halves. This is number 1. This is number 1 and this is number 2. Now number 1 is my normal image. Now tell me, I am telling you that this biopsy in front of you is a kidney biopsy. Now tell me, if it is a kidney biopsy, what is this normal structure? What is this normal structure that you are being shown here? Yes, this is a glomerulus. This is a glomerulus. And if I go into the second part, क्या दिख रहा है मुझे? What am I seeing? I am seeing that there were some of the renal tubules. मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है, I am thinking, I am feeling that these were renal tubules at some point of time. They are not alive. Why? Because all pink. There is no blue nuclei. Death is happening. But still, by looking this death, I can make out an impression of a renal tubule, as if somebody has came and get a stamp of a tubule. So that means my cellular outline is well preserved. And when I see this means I'm dealing with which necrosis? Yes, coagulative necrosis. Very good. I am dealing with coagulative necrosis. Now tell me, which is the most common organ? Which is the most common organ that shows necrosis, coagulative? That is heart. Heart is the most common organ that shows coagulative necrosis. Okay. Now, next, if you see here, this is an image in front of you. This is a gross image of brain, and in this brain I am seeing this area, this liquid area. What is this liquid area? Yes, this is your liquefactive necrosis. So this liquid area is liquefactive necrosis. Good. So that means liquefactive necrosis, and the image in front of you is actually typically a brain liquefactive necrosis. Apart from brain, where else you see liquefactive necrosis? Yes, apart from this, you can see liquefactive necrosis in bacterial infections as well. Okay. Now, moving to the third picture in front of me, this is a highly magnified picture of lung where you see this dirty, grainy, yellow-white material. What is this dirty, grainy, yellow-white material? This is your, yes, caseous necrosis. This is your caseous necrosis, yellowish white dirty material. That means here classically I am dealing with which infection? I am dealing with classical, yes, tuberculosis lung. Apart from tuberculosis lung, where else you see caseous necrosis? A PYQ, fungal infections. For example, classically, which ones have been asked as a PYQ? Histoplasmosis and coccidioidomycosis. Histoplasmosis and coccidioidomycosis. Okay, now moving ahead with the next image in front of me. Now I have two images. This is image number 1 and this is image number 2. Now let me first focus on the first image. So in this first image, I am dealing with a normal fat cell. I am dealing with a normal fat cell. How a normal fat cell looks like? A normal fat cell has an eccentric nucleus and a clear cytoplasm. A normal fat cell has an eccentric nucleus and clear cytoplasm. But if I go at the second image, is my cytoplasm clear? This is my fat cell, fat necrosis ka fat cell. Is my cytoplasm clear? No. It is filled with what? It is filled with calcium deposits. So that means here I am dealing with a cell of fat necrosis. The moment I say fat necrosis, next question, where do you see fat necrosis? If I talk about trauma, that means injury. So breast injury and gluteal injury. But if I talk about some enzyme activity causing fat necrosis, yes, a PYQ. Classical example is acute pancreatitis. Acute pancreatitis. Okay. Now, if you look at this image, this is showing you classical chalky white. What are these? Chalky white deposits of calcium. This is also fat necrosis, chalky white deposits. Okay. Now coming to this image. Now if you see this, first of all tell me, what is this red thing? What are these red? Yes, these red are actually your RBC. These red are RBC. And the structure that holds the RBC, that means I am dealing with a blood vessel here. And the blood vessel is showing this pink. So all this pink that you are seeing around the blood vessel, all this is exactly what? This is your fibrinoid necrosis. This is your fibrinoid necrosis. Classical example, PYQ, malignant hypertension and a vasculitis, very important. Yes, that is PAN. So fibrinoid necrosis, malignant hypertension and PAN. Now moving ahead, there is an image in front of you. History has been given that this is a case of acute viral hepatitis and a liver biopsy is in front of you and the arrow mark is being asked. So if I see here, this is a body, this is an apoptotic body that you see in patients of acute viral hepatitis, and this arrow mark is classically showing you which body you see? Yes, Councilman body. So this is your classical Councilman body. This is your classical Councilman body that you see in patients of acute viral hepatitis. Okay. Now, look here. Highly repeatedly asked PYQ. Repeatedly asked PYQ. मुझसे पूछा जाता है, I am being asked what is A, what is B and what is C. What is A, B and C? So please remember, सबसे पहले first of all I am being asked that the image that is in front of you is which modality. I said this is agarose gel electrophoresis. The modality that is in front of me is agarose gel electrophoresis. Now what is B? So what I'm trying to do is, if I try to join the dots, so I feel as if there is a ladder and these are the steps of a ladder. It looks like as if this is a ladder. These are the steps of a ladder and this is the classical PYQ. This is the classical step ladder pattern of apoptosis. Yes, this is seen in apoptosis. And if you see, there is one more pattern here which you see in while making blood smear. This is a perfect tongue-shaped smear, and that is why the name to this pattern has been given as smearing pattern. This is called as smearing pattern. And where do you see smearing pattern? Yes, PYQ, in necrosis. Yes, very good. Smearing pattern in necrosis. So B is apoptosis, C is necrosis. I'm being asked, what is A here? What is A? I said A is a normal cell. A क्या है? A is a normal cell. So A is normal, B is apoptosis, and C is necrosis. Okay, done. Let's move ahead. Now this is a very important table in front of you where I'm going to summarize all the caspases. So first let me start with which are the intrinsic pathway caspases. Caspase 9. Extrinsic caspase 8 or 10. Executioner caspases, caspase 3, 6 and 7. Caspase 3, 6 and 7. Now what about necroptosis? This is a trick question here. Necroptosis is caspase independent. There are no caspases being involved in necroptosis. So this is a trick question. What about pyroptosis? Now please remember carefully, if I'm dealing with the old 9th edition of Robbins, it says caspase 1 and 11. But your new edition of Robbins says caspase 1, 4 and 5. So please remember both these caspases 1 and 11 according to the old edition and 1, 4 and 5 according to the new edition. Yes. Next, last cell death is ferroptosis. Now ferroptosis name itself is telling you that this is iron induced cell death. Iron is causing the death of cell. Next question that comes in my mind is how iron is causing cell death? By doing Fenton reaction. And what is the end product of Fenton reaction that causes cell death? Hydroxyl free radical. And hydroxyl free radical, how does it cause the cell death? By causing lipid peroxidation of the cell membrane. So these were my important cell death. Now the next important thing that has been asked lots and lots of time, it is a very important PYQ, that yes, I have discussed a lot about cell death, but now I want to lighten my mood. I want to talk something nice now. So basically now I want to know that if I want to be young for a longer period of time, so can I do so? Yes, you can prolong the cell survival by increasing sirtuins. But where do you increase sirtuins? By increasing sirtuins in your diet. How do you do that? How can you increase sirtuins in your diet? Number one, by doing calorie restriction, by taking low doses of red wine consumption, and sirtuins, they also increase insulin sensitivity. Now please remember, it is a very important PYQ that sirtuins, they both promote cancers as well as inhibit cancers. And there was one more option in the question regarding sirtuins. So please remember, what are sirtuins? They are NAD dependent protein deacetylases. Sirtuins are NAD dependent protein deacetylases. Okay. Now this was all about sirtuins. Now what we are going to do is we are going to start with a very high yield table of all the important stains. So not just general pathology, I'm going to cover important stains of hematology as well right now, right here. So let us start this high yielding table. So the first stain is for melanin. For melanin we use Mason Fontana. And this Mason Fontana is going to give what color to melanin? Black color to melanin. Mason Fontana, black color to melanin. Okay. Beta DNA electrophoresis. Okay. Next, hemosiderin. Hemosiderin, what is the stain for hemosiderin? It is Pearl's Prussian blue. It is Pearl's Prussian blue. And what color it is going to give to hemosiderin? It is going to give blue color to the hemosiderin. Pearl's Prussian blue is going to give blue color to the hemosiderin. Yes. What about copper? Copper के लिए I have Rodha. ध्यान से carefully. It is Neen. N. Rodha, Neen and rubianic acid. Rhodamine and rubianic acid. It's not rhodamine, because mean is going to be a test for your CGD, chronic granulomatous disease. This is rhodamine and rubianic acid. Now what about ceruloplasmin? For ceruloplasmin, there is a stain called as Orcine stain. Orcine stain for ceruloplasmin. Next, for fat and lipids, it is oil red O and Sudan black B, SBB. Oil red O and Sudan black B. Next, this is a very important PYQ. If a question particularly mentions that I want to see fat but only on the fresh tissue or the frozen tissue. So in that case, there is only one answer to this, and that is oil red O. That is oil red O. So fresh tissue frozen section, particularly only one answer to this is oil red O. Next, calcium. For calcium, I have von Cosa and alizarin red S. Von Cosa and alizarin red S. Very good, guys. I'm so happy you guys are answering absolutely correct. Very fast you are. Shabash. Very good. Next, what about glycogen? Glycogen is PAS positive. What about T. Whippleyi? I'm talking about Whipple's disease, Tropharima whippleyi. Yes, they are also PAS positive. They are also PAS positive. Now let us jump towards my hematology. Now I have two blasts. Which blast? I have a lymphoblast and I have erythroblast. Both of the blasts, they both show PAS positivity. But I'm confused now. If a blast is in front of me and it is showing PAS positivity, how do I make out that this PAS positivity is of lymphoblast or this PAS positivity is of erythroblast? On the pattern of staining. What do I mean by that? I'm saying that your lymphoblast will show dot-like or block-like positivity, whereas your erythroblast will give diffuse positivity. Diffuse or circumferential positivity. So remember, say for example, if this is a blast, it is going to be like this, dot-like, block-like. But whereas in erythroblast, it is going to be diffuse or circumferential positivity. So lympho is dot-like, block-like, and erythroblast is diffuse or circumferential positivity. Okay. Now, moving ahead, for myeloblast, I'm going to have MPO and SBB. MPO and SBB. MPO and SBB. ठीक है? Next is M4 M5 AML. M4 M5 AML में क्या होगा? Please remember, here I am particularly mentioning about my monocyte stain. I am mentioning about the monocyte stain. Monocytes. So monocytes, they are going to be NSE positive. NSE. Non-specific. NSE is what? Non-specific esterase positive. So please remember, monocytes, they are NSE positive, non-specific esterase positive. Now what about myeloid? Myeloid, they are chloroacetate esterase positive. They are chloroacetate esterase. Now there is a very important question which is frequently asked from me, and that is the reason why I am specifically telling you about myeloid is chloroacetate esterase positive, because I am being asked regarding the double esterase, that which AML is double esterase positive. So I know M4, what is the name for M4? Myelomonocytic leukemia. So myeloid series, chloroacetate esterase, monocytic series, non-specific esterase. So that means M4 is double esterase positive AML. SBB is Sudan black B. Yes, very good. It is M4. ठीक है. Next, for TLL, there is a very important particular stain that you have to remember, and that is acid phosphatase. Acid phosphatase. Now, please listen to me carefully. This is an exception stain that I need to mention here. That what about Burkitt blast? So, Burkitt lymphoma. That means a blast from Burkitt lymphoma is a lymphoid blast, lymphoblast. And we just read that lymphoblast show which positivity? Pass positivity. So technically Burkitt blast should also show which positivity? Pass positivity. But here it is pass negative. It will not show. This is a classical exception. It will never show pass positivity. Rather, it will show Sudan black B positivity. But I said that your myeloid stain is chloroacetate esterase. Your monocyte stain is non-specific esterase. So I am being asked which is double esterase AML. So M4. M4 is myelomonocytic leukemia. They have myeloid cells also. They have monocytic cells also. So one esterase stain, second esterase stain, double esterase. ठीक है? Is it okay now? Isha Ashish, right? Okay. So please remember this is an exception. Burkitt's is pass negative and SBB positive. Why it is SBB positive? I'll show you the image as well, because Burkitt blast has lipid vacuoles. So that lipid vacuoles, lipid is going to stain SBB. Next stain. Next, TTC, triphenyl tetrazolium chloride, right? You must have read this in your systemic pathology as well. This stain that you use for myocardial infarction. MI, myocardial infarction. Okay. Next, mucin. So please remember mucin on HNE. Obviously, it is clear in color. I can use some special stains for mucin like Alcian blue and pass. So mucin, HNE, obviously we can do HNE for mucin, and on HNE it is going to be clear and Alcian blue and pass. M5 is monocytic, so it is just monocyte, so it is non-esterase positive. Obviously, I just made you write down. Okay. Now, the next one is very, very, very important, a highly asked PYQ, stain for amyloid, and the classical stain that has been repeatedly asked in the exam is your Congo red stain. This has been so many times asked. Congo red stain. So please remember, if you do a Congo red stain and you see amyloid on light microscopy, now please carefully look at the question. Is it asking light microscopy or polarizing? So on light microscopy, it is going to give a characteristic salmon pink color. But if I talk about polarizing microscopy, it is going to give characteristic apple green birefringence. It is going to give apple green birefringence. Okay. So polarizing apple green birefringence and light microscopy salmon pink. Now if I have talked about amyloid, I just cannot skip it, because I know amyloid is highly important for my examination. So I am going to complete amyloid right now, right here, before moving to the next thing. So if you see this image in front of you, all this pink that you are seeing here, all this pink is your amyloid deposition on HNE. This is your HNE light microscopy amyloid. And if you see this, yes, this is your polarizing microscopy, and all this green that you are seeing, polarizing microscopy, apple green, birefringence, Congo red staining. Good. Now, again, repeatedly asked PYQs have been summarized here with the upcoming future MCQs as well. Now we will discuss all the important nature of amyloid. Number one, for multiple myeloma, it is, yes, AL, where L stands for light chain. Next, for hemodialysis associated or a patient of chronic renal failure, which amyloid is seen? A beta 2 microglobulin. A beta 2 microglobulin. Now please, these next two are little tricky, so I want you to be very vigilant here. If I talk about senile systemic amyloidosis, it is going to be ATTR, but this ATTR is, N stands for normal, normal. So that means your normal TTR, transthyretin, is going to be deposited here. But if I say familial amyloidotic polyneuropathy, so this is also ATTR, but this is a, yes, mutant ATTR, mutated transthyretin. Please, 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 you have to be very careful in these two. Next, familial Mediterranean fever, PYQ. This is AA, AA, serum amyloid A. For Alzheimer's, it is A beta. ध्यान से carefully, this is A beta 2 microglobulin and this is A beta. Be careful, no need for confusion. Type 2 diabetes mellitus is AIAPP. AIAPP. Next is medullary carcinoma of thyroid. Yes, ACAL. PYQ, where CAL stands for calcitonin. Next, again a PYQ for chronic inflammation like tuberculosis and rheumatoid arthritis. It is again AA. AA. So this was my entire list of all the important amyloids that you have to remember for your examination. Now let us move ahead and complete our table of stains. So the next stain that I want to talk about is your collagen. For collagen, the stain that we use is Mason trichrome. Mason trichrome. There was one Mason before we have studied, Mason Fontana. That was for melanin. This is Mason trichrome. Next, for elastic fibers. For elastic fibers, the stain we use is VVG stain. What color it is going to give to elastic fibers? Black. It is going to give black color to the elastic fibers. So collagen, Mason trichrome, elastic fibers, VVG. VVG is going to give black color. Good. Next, H. pylori. Obviously, H. pylori can be seen on HNE, but we can do some other stain. Say for example, Giemsa stain and a silver stain. If I'm saying Giemsa, next question is on Giemsa, what color is being given to H. pylori? Blue. Blue. Okay. And if I talk about the silver stain, which silver stain I can use? Important PYQ, Worden starry silver stain. Worden starry silver stain. VVG. VVG is Verhoef Van Giesen. Nobody is going to ask you this full form. Trust me. But still you are asking me. That's why I'm telling you. Nobody is going to ask you in the exam. But you want to increase your irony. You want to increase your agony. So ठीक है, सुन लीजिए. VVG is Verhoef Van Giesen stain. For H. pylori, the silver stain that we use is Worden starry silver stain. Okay. तुमको ज्यादा मन है तो बता देती हूँ. तुम बोल रहे हो जल्दी तो जल्दी, तुम बोलते हो धीरे तो धीरे, तुम बोलते हो ये तो ये, तो ठीक है, जैसा तुम बोलो वैसा ही करेंगे हम. Okay, now look at the images. Look at the images. Okay, I just told you melanin के बारे में, so please have a look here. This HNE, this HNE here. So if you see, what is the normal color? What is the normal color of melanin? What is the normal color of melanin? क्या color दिख रहा है? मेरे को brown दिख रहा है. So that means on normal HNE, on normal HNE, melanin is brown in color. On normal HNE, it is brown in color. And look here, look here. If I look here, what is the color of melanin now? What is the color? It is black. That means here which stain I have used? Mason Fontana. I have used Mason-Fontana. Yes, Priya, not just Warden-Starry, it is a universal rule. If you have any silver stain, I don't care what is the name of the stain, I don't care what that silver stain is going to stain, it is always going to give black color. It is a universal rule. Any silver stain staining anything of my body, it is going to be black, black and only black. Okay. Now, this is Mason-Fontana. Now, have a look here. This is your hemosiderin. Now, please see here. This is again an HNE image. And now tell me, what is the color of hemosiderin on HNE? Yes, again it is brown. Again it is brown in color. And in fact, the image that I have kept in front of you is exactly what? Ye hai kya? These are exactly my hemosiderin laden macrophages. These are in fact my hemosiderin laden macrophages, and they have been given a special name as well. They are called as what? Yes, heart failure cells. Heart failure cells. Now tell me, very, very important PYQ. Heart failure cells are seen in heart or lungs? Aha, very important question. Heart failure cells are seen in lungs. Please, galti se bhi galti nahi karne ka hai. And they are seen in lungs. I totally agree. But they are seen in lungs because of which side heart failure? Because of the left-sided heart failure. Yes, because of the left-sided heart failure. So they are seen in lungs because of the left-sided heart failure. Now have a look here. Have a look here on this image. What is this? This is your Pearl's Prussian blue. All this blue, 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 blue that you are seeing, all the blue is your hemosiderin. All blue, blue is hemosiderin. Good, very good. I can see so many people correcting right. Correct answers. Good, good, good. Now, if I'm talking about left heart failure, how can I forget this person, this organ? What I'm seeing here is, yes, this is your classical nutmeg liver. This is your classical nutmeg liver. Okay. Now, if you see, nutmeg liver is seen in which heart failure? Right heart failure. So in left heart failure, which organ is going to be affected? Lung is going to be affected. And in right heart failure, which organ is going to be affected? Liver is going to be affected. And what is the gross finding of that? Nutmeg liver. A very, 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 very important PYQ, that in nutmeg liver, all these red necrotic dots are what? So please remember, in nutmeg liver, the necrotic areas, the dark areas are red, whereas all the pale areas are viable, normal parenchyma. So all these, if this is your liver, all red dots are necrotic, and beach ka intertwining pale area is your normal liver parenchyma. Classical PYQ that you have to remember. Okay. Next image in front of you. This is a case of alcoholic liver disease, and the question has been asked, PYQ, कि आपको क्या दिख रहा है? What are you seeing here? So I know from my knowledge of histology that this is a liver biopsy. This is an hexagonal shaped hepatocyte, and if you can notice, I have some dark thing in the hepatocyte. I can see some dark thing in the hepatocyte. See again, this is again your dark things in the hepatocyte. So all these dark, all these dark are hepatocyte में some deposition. And what is that deposition? This is something which has been destroyed by the alcohol. And what is that something destroyed by alcohol? Classical MCQ, PYQ, CK8, CK18. This is cytokeratin 8 and 18 being destroyed by alcohol. And these destroyed CK8 and CK18, they get deposited in the hepatocyte. And when they do, they are called as Mallory-Hyaline or the Mallory-Denk bodies. They are called as Mallory-Hyaline or the Mallory-Denk bodies. A very important PYQ. Now listen to me carefully. Examiner didn't give you CK in the option. Examiner didn't give you Mallory bodies in the option. Examiner gave you intermediate filaments in the option. So we know that keratin are the type of what? intermediate filaments. So what deposition is happening here? The MCQ, the option was intermediate filaments. So that is going to be the answer here. Okay. Now look at this image. Look at this image here. So there is a classical pigment. I can see a pigment here. Now what is the color of this pigment? This is a golden yellow pigment. This is a golden yellow pigment. And now the khasiyat, the classical part about this golden yellow pigment is that if I see what is this blue, this blue is your nucleus. So this golden yellow pigment is next to the nucleus, and this is what you call as perinuclear location. So looking at this image, two things are clear, that I have a golden yellow pigment and it is perinuclear in location, and the classical clue points that are given to me in the question is old age, showing brown atrophy, old age, perinuclear, golden yellow. This is only one pigment possible on this earth, and the answer is lipofuscin. The answer is lipofuscin. Lipofuscin is also called as wear and tear pigment, brown atrophy pigment, senile atrophy pigment. So this is your lipofuscin. So I have three pigments which are brown in color. Melanin. How do I differentiate from the rest brown pigments? By using Mason-Fontana. Second brown pigment on HNE, hemosiderin. How do I differentiate it from the rest two? By using Pearl's Prussian blue. Third brown pigment or golden yellow pigment is lipofuscin. How do I differentiate? By the location, perinuclear location. Okay. Now have a look here. Have a look here. Now this is something which I have already made you write. Now you have to just point out. This is an image, past stained image in front of you, and this is one more image in front of you. Tell me which is erythroblast, which is lymphoblast. Tell me, what is this past staining? Is this an erythroblast or is this a lymphoblast? Tell me, fatafat, quickly. Now number one is what? Erythro or lympho? Yes, yes, I have seen. This is your magenta pink. What is this? Diffuse positivity. Absolutely correct. I'm so happy. I'm so happy when you guys give me correct answer. I do not need water. I do not need anything on this earth. I just want all of you to be happy and to get knowledge as much as I can give it to you. Okay, I just want you to be concentrated in the class right now. मुझे बस इतना चाहिए आपसे और कुछ भी नहीं मांगती हूँ मैं, ठीक है? Next, if you see here, what is this? Erythro or lympho? Dot like, block like, dot like, block like. यानी कि ये क्या हो गया? Yes, this is lymphoblast. This is lymphoblast. Okay, chalo, let's go आगे. Let's go ahead. Yes, I told you. Beautiful blast. There is only one blast which has these golus. Cute golus, lipid vacuoles, जिनकी वजह से, because of them, these were SBB, lipid stain positive. This is your classical Burkitt blast. This is your classical Burkitt blast. Okay. Have a look here. Yes, systemic pathology. You must have seen this one also. What is this? TTC stain, triphenyl tetrazolium chloride stain for MI heart. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to demarcate this area. What is this pale area? What is this demarcated pale area? Yes, this is your infarct. This is your infarct, right? And what is this red? All this red, normal myocardium. So on TTC, normal myocardium is red in color and infarcted area is pale in color. But yes, I can see something white also. What is this white? This is an old MI scar. That means this person must have had an attack of MI in the past, which this person must have survived, and this person's body must have healed this by fibrosis, giving a beautiful white collagenous scar. So this is an old MI attack. Okay. Now, I have told you, you have written it. Now tell me, this is an H. pylori stain. I see these chota ganda rod-like S-shaped things, blue in color. So which stain is this? Blue H. pylori? Giemsa. It is Giemsa blue H. pylori. Have a look here. Have a look here. Have a look here. Kala kala, black black, chichi, ganda ganda, black black, H. pylori, black color with stain, Warden starry silver stain. So this is Warden starry silver stain. Okay, good. So we are done with these. So I am going to now swiftly shift towards my inflammation part. Now please remember, very important PYQ. Arrange in the correct order of the sequence, and for these question sequence wala you have to remember because this is very important. So let me first start with the vascular. Let me first start with the vascular events of inflammation. My first vascular event is going to be number 1, vasoconstriction. Number 1 is vasoconstriction. Okay. Next is vasodilation. Chi is for H. pylori because H. pylori makes me sick. It gives me bad gastritis. So chi is for that. Okay. Don't judge the book by its cover, man. Don't judge so quickly. Okay. So first is vasoconstriction, followed by vasodilation, followed by increase in vascular permeability. VP is my short form of vascular permeability. Okay. And the last one is stasis. Okay. Now, vascular permeability increase. I am being asked which is the most common mechanism that is responsible for causing increase in permeability, and that is endothelial gap formation, which is also called as endothelial cell contraction. Either my endothelial cells are giving a gap or my endothelial cells are contracting. So this is the most common mechanism. And if somebody asks me out of all these 4, which is the hallmark of acute inflammation, I will say increase in vascular permeability is the hallmark. Okay? Increase in permeability is the hallmark. Now swiftly I am moving towards the cellular events of inflammation. So my sequence goes like, first is going to be margination. Margination is followed by rolling. A very important PYQ. Who is responsible for rolling? Selectins. Responsible for rolling, selectins. Another name for selectins is CD62. CD62. Now please remember, I have 3 types of selectins: P-selectin, E-selectin, L-selectin, right? PEL-selectin. Now please listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully. PEL-selectin. I'm saying rolling has to happen. Means this is the endothelium. My neutrophil has to roll. Okay. So see, rolling. Neutrophil attaching, detaching, attaching, detaching, attaching, detaching, attaching, detaching. That means my neutrophil, at least for some amount of time, has to attach to my endothelium. And if 2 people have to come close to each other, there should be feelings, complementary feelings for both of them to come close to each other, even for a fraction of second. Why am I saying this is that please look at the color coding. So please remember that my P and E selectin, they both are present on the endothelium. And if something is present on endothelium and neutrophil wants to come to the endothelium, so their corresponding molecule should be present on the leukocyte, and that is Silyl Lewis X. That is Silyl Lewis X. Now, if L-selectin, look at the color coding again. See, if L-selectin is present on the neutrophil, so its corresponding molecule should be present on the endothelium, and that is glycam or madcam. Glycam or madcam. Okay? Now this was your rolling by selectins and their corresponding molecules. Now rolling is going to be followed by your adhesion, third step. And who is responsible for adhesion? Integrins are responsible for adhesion. Now integrins are of two types, beta 1 integrin and beta 2 integrins, beta 1 and beta 2. Now please remember, both beta 1 and beta 2 are present on the WBC. So their corresponding molecule should be present on the endothelium. For beta 1, what is the corresponding molecule? For beta 1, it is VCAM, and for beta 2, it is ICAM. These are the corresponding molecules जिनकी मदद से both these can attach to each other. Okay. Next, transmigration. So this is going to be followed by transmigration. A very important PYQ. The transmigration is going to be done by PCAM1, also called as CD31. Very important question. Transmigration is done by GlyCam or MADCAM. ठीक है? PCAM1 or CD31. But if somebody asks me, this is the molecule of transmigration, what is the enzyme? Which enzyme helps in doing transmigration? That is MMPs. So the enzyme that helps is MMPs, matrix metalloproteinases. Now transmigration is followed by chemotaxis. Next question, PYQ. Who is responsible for doing chemotaxis? The mnemonic that I have made is LIC, where L stands for LTB4, IL8 and C5A. LTB4, IL8 and C5A are the chemotactic molecules, and ultimately it is going to be followed by opsonization. Opsonization means, now what I want to do is I want to make the bacteria tasty for the neutrophil eating. Next question, who is going to make it tasty? Tasty. It is going to be made by number 1, FC portion of IgG and all the B's, C3b, C4b, C5b. So FC portion of IgG and all the B's, C3e, C4b, C5b. For P and E, both के लिए silent leave XX है. Yes. Okay. Now, this opsonization is going to be ultimately followed by phagocytosis. Tasty वेस्टी हो गया, अब अपने को खाने का है. Phagocytosis. First important MCQ. Which enzyme is most important for phagocytosis? Answer is NADPH oxidase. NADPH oxidase. Okay. Next question. First is, which enzyme is important? NADPH oxidase. Next, which free radical is most important for killing? That is HOCl. HOCl is going to cause the maximum killing of the bacteria. Which free radical? HOCl. Finally, in phagocytosis, there is phagolysosome formation. Who is responsible for phagolysosome formation? List is responsible. List is responsible for phagolysosome formation. Again, microbiology question. If in somebody NADPH oxidase is defective, it results in what? CGD, chronic granulomatous disease. If in somebody list is defective, it results in Chediak-Higashi syndrome. You will be discussing this in micro. I just wanted to make a correlation, nothing else. So if somebody is having Chediak-Higashi or if somebody is having CGD, so obviously phagocytosis will not take place. Obviously the cellular event of inflammation will not take place. Obviously the bacteria will be not killed, and obviously these people will have more chances of recurrent infections, which is the classical history given to you in the MCQ. Okay, now moving ahead. Now this is an image that is in front of you, and this shows a classical form of killing which is called as NETs, neutrophilic extracellular traps formation. First, very important PYQ. Where do you see NETs formation? In sepsis. CGD, chronic granulomatous disease. Okay. Sepsis, it is seen in sepsis. Next important PYQ. Which amino acid helps in the formation of NETs? The answer is arginine. Arginine. Okay. sepsis and arginine. Now have a look at this image. Now what happens in NETs is, in NETs your neutrophil gives out its chromatin material and forms a jala, trap, where all the bacteria is going to be trapped. It is going to be killed. So if I see here, if I look at this image, this is my neutrophil and this orange is the nucleus or the chromatin of my neutrophil. And in this image, I can very well appreciate that this orange chromatin is outside forming a trap. Now, imagine carefully, neutrophil is committing suicide by giving its own chromatin material outside to cause benefit of your body by killing the bacteria in your body, and that's why NETs is a classical example of beneficial suicide. NETs is a classical example of beneficial suicide. Okay, next. Have a look at these two images. Nothing to write. Everything is written for you. I just want to tell you there are two important cell-in-cell phenomenon in front of you. One is emperipolysis and entosis. Now, what is the basic difference between emperipolysis is that in emperipolysis, one big cell is going to take up another cell. Both the cells are different. And emperipolysis is classically seen in hematological disorder. Say for example, one big megakaryocyte is taking a plasma cell inside or a lymphocyte inside. So two different cells, megakaryocyte, lymphocyte inside, or megakaryocyte with plasma cell inside, two different cells. Classical emperipolysis. Whereas in entosis, entosis is also a cell-in-cell phenomenon, but in entosis, these are two same cell. One cell eating another cell means one malignant cell taking up another malignant cell. Classical difference, emperipolysis, two different cells. Entosis, same cells. Both are cell-in-cell appearance. Okay, right. Now, I get so many queries. Ma'am, बहुत सारे mediators हैं. There's lot to run. There's lot to learn. We don't know what to focus, which functions to focus. So what I've done is I have compiled all the Robbins-based functions in a tabular form for you and the classical functions which have been asked as PYQs and can be asked as your FYQs, future year questions. So let us start filling this table for me. Mediators. So please remember the first two mediators is histamine and serotonin, and please remember both these two mediators have same function. शुक्र है दो का एक ही function आपको याद रखना है. So histamine and serotonin share the same functions. Number one, what are these functions? That for arterioles, it is going to cause vasodilation. For arterioles, it's vasodilation, but for large vessels, arteries, they are going to cause vasoconstriction. Please, you have to remember. Okay? Next. Now, this is a mnemonic that I have made, HSBC. It is a name of bank, but for me, HSBC means histamine, serotonin, both cause bronchoconstriction. So histamine, serotonin both cause bronchoconstriction. Next, apart from that, 1, 2 and 3, increase in vascular permeability. Increase in vascular permeability. Okay, next. Next, let's talk about your neuropeptides. That is neurokinin A and substance P. What are their functions? Please remember physiology. They are involved in pain signal transmission, number one, and second, they cause increase in vascular permeability. So neuropeptides, pain signal transmission and increased permeability. Next, nitric oxide. For this I have made a mnemonic, no iPad. No iPad means no is nitric oxide. iPad means inhibit platelet aggregation and vasodilation. So they are going to inhibit platelet aggregation and they cause vasodilation. Next, cytokines. Which are the important cytokines and their functions that I have to remember? So if somebody asks me which is the most pyrogenic fever causing cytokine, interleukin 1. For cancer, cachexia, TNF alpha. Angiogenesis, VEGF. Fibrosis, most fibrogenic, TGF beta. For granuloma, G for granuloma and G for gamma. Interferon gamma. G for granuloma and G for gamma. For APR, most important cytokine for formation of acute phase reactants, IL-6. It is IL-6. Okay, so these are my important cytokines that I have to remember. Okay, moving ahead. Chemokines. Chemokines, they are causing activation of my WBCs. That's enough for me. Next, arachidonic acid metabolites. Now, there are two arachidonic acid metabolites, जिन्हें I say that they are enemies of each other. They are perfect dushman. Why? Because they have exact opposite function. I'm talking about PGI2 and TXA2. So, PGI2 causes inhibition of platelet aggregation. PGI2 inhibits platelet aggregation, whereas TXA2 activate platelet aggregation. Next, PGI2 causes vasodilation and TXA2 causes vasoconstriction. Exact opposite functions that you have to remember for PGI2 and TXA2. Next, coming here. What about PGD2 and PGE2? They both cause vasodilation and increase in permeability. Now PGF2 alpha, your OBS gynae, if you remember, they cause what? Smooth muscle contraction, induction of labor, smooth muscle contraction of both uterus and bronchus. Uterus and bronchus. PGF2 alpha, smooth muscle contraction of uterus and bronchus. Now the next question, it is again a PYQ, that which prostaglandin is associated with increased sensitivity to pain? Hyperalgesia. पेन होता है और जब भी पेन होता है तो कैसी आवाज निकलती है? ई, दर्द हुआ. E2. PGE2. PGE2 is associated with increased sensitivity to pain or hyperalgesia. Now what about LTB4? You already know. I made you write down the mnemonic LIC. LTB4 यानी कि chemotaxis. Chemotaxis. Okay. Next, LTC4D4E4, they cause vasoconstriction. They cause vasoconstriction, bronchoconstriction and increase in permeability. ठीक है? Next, lipoxins. Please remember, very peculiar feature. Till now, whatever you have studied with me was your pro-inflammatory. These are anti-inflammatory. They are anti-inflammatory. They are anti-inflammatory. Okay. Next is your PAF, platelet activating factor. Name itself is suggesting you. Platelet activating factor means they activate platelet aggregation. Apart from that, they also cause vasoconstriction and bronchoconstriction. Vasoconstriction and bronchoconstriction. Okay. Now, please, you have to be very vigilant. If question is mentioning particularly low doses PAF, function बदल जाएगा. जैसे वो बदलती है, ये भी बदल जाती है low doses में. क्या बदलाव आता है? What is the change in PAF at low doses? That now it causes vasodilation and increase permeability. Vasodilation and increase permeability. Okay. Next is your kinin. And basically in kinin, I am focusing on bradykinin. I am focusing on bradykinin. Bradykinin, it causes vasodilation, increase permeability and pain. So bradykinin causes vasodilation, increase in permeability and pain. Okay. Next. Which complements are important? Again, please remember these are the classical complements. That C5b for membrane attack complex, C3a, C5a, C4a, anaphylotoxin, and C3b opsonization. Slow fast, slow, fast, moe moe, fast, moe moe, slow. Decide कर लो पहले चाहते क्या हो? What do you want? आपस में तो निपट लो पहले. चलो, focus here, focus here. Now this complete image, देखो, that depends on you. Nothing is in my hands. Okay, so this image, this entire page is dedicated to all the granulomas. Okay, so first have a look at this granuloma. If you see here, what is in the center, pink, caseous necrosis. If you see, what is this cell? If you see, what is this cell? Batao fatafat, tell me. What is this cell? This is showing horseshoe-shaped arrangement of nuclei. This is your, yes, Langerhans giant cell. So Langerhans giant cell, caseous necrosis. What are these cells? If you see dark, black cells, if you see these dark, black cells here also, what are these? These are making the lymphocyte collar. They are making lymphocyte collar. So this particular image that is in front of me is your classical tubercular. Yes, absolutely correct. You guys are tubercular granuloma. Now, if you come here, which granuloma? Star-shaped granuloma. Yani ki I am dealing with stellate granuloma, classically seen in important PYQ, cat scratch disease. So stellate granuloma, classically seen in cat scratch disease. Okay, next come here. Yes, mittha, sweet. It resembles a sweet dish. It's a donut granuloma. This is a donut granuloma, classically seen in Q fever. Donut granuloma in Q fever. Now, look here. Now, these two images that are in front of you, they are classically seen in sarcoid granuloma. These are seen in sarcoid granuloma. These two bodies are seen, and particularly they are seen in the multinucleated giant cells. In multinucleated giant cells cytoplasm of a sarcoid granuloma, you see these two bodies. Number one body, if you see here, these are the calcium inclusions. This particular one, this is your Schaumann bodies. These are your, it is written already, Schaumann bodies. But if you look here, in MNG cytoplasm, yes, this is a star-shaped asteroid bodies. These are your asteroid bodies. Okay. Now, these two important PYQs, names of granuloma that you have to remember, that Dirk's granuloma you are going to see in cerebral malaria, eosinophilic granuloma in Churg-Strauss disease. Okay. Next. Again, a highly important table. Lots of PYQs have been asked from this table. Wound healing. So we have compiled every PYQ along with the FYQ. Now look here. Caseating granulomas. TB is an example of both caseating as well as non-caseating. But if somebody asks me, choose a better one, I will say caseating more than non-caseating. Sarcoid granuloma in the multinucleated giant cell cytoplasm, I see two bodies, asteroid and the Schaumann bodies. Okay. Now wound healing, I'm starting with day 0. On day 0, क्या हुआ है? चोट लगी है. I've got injury. And the moment I get injury, what is going to happen? Clot formation is going to happen. Now clot is actually what? This is fibrin plus platelets. Fibrin plus platelets. So if somebody asks me, in fact, it has been asked to me by the examiner PYQ that the first cell of healing is going to be platelets. If somebody asks me first cell of inflammation, I will say neutrophil. But first cell of healing is platelets. Please remember. Next, moving to day 1. Day 1 pe, I am going to have neutrophils now. On day 1, I'm going to have neutrophils now. Now on day 3, what is going to happen? My neutrophils are going to be replaced by my macrophages. Neutrophils replaced by macrophages, and there is going to be very important PYQ. There is going to be early granulation tissue formation. Early granulation tissue formation. Okay, now early granulation ke saath, along with that, I will have early collagen. Early collagen means collagen is present at the margins of the wound. There is no bridging. There is no bridge formation over the wound. It is only present on the margins of the wound. But on day 5, my granulation tissue has become maximum. I have maximum GT. GT means granulation tissue. And now collagen is bridging the wound. And I have thick epidermis. So basically day 5 pe, on day 5, I have exaggeration of everything. Maximum granulation, collagen also bridging, thick epidermis also. But a very important PYQ. Very important PYQ. Now I have written day 14 as well as 21 because in the option sometimes 14 is given, sometimes 12 is given. But if both are given, please follow 21 over 14 because 21 is your Robbins. Robbins is saying day 21. But for what Robbins is saying day 21? Maximum collagen. Maximum collagen. ठीक है, मैक्सिमम कोलैजन. रुको जरा, सबर करो अरिनवा, सुनो तो सही जो सवाल पूछ रहे हो. द क्वेश्चन दैट यू आर आस्किंग इज माय नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, डे 28. That on day 28 I will have a perfect scar formation, but examiner twisted for you. Rather asking perfect scar, examiner says how much time it is going to take for type 3 collagen to be replaced by type 1 collagen. Same thing. ऐसे बोलो, ऐसे बोलो, ऐसे ऐसे बात वही है. So scar formation or type 3 completely replaced by type 1, day 28. Okay, day 28. That's why I'm repeating in English as well as in Hindi. Do not worry. Dirk's granuloma, okay, in malaria. Now, look at this image in front of you. This is a classical image, normal image, first year image. If you see, this is the normal epithelium. Everything is beautiful. Cells are, separately placed. They have a proper alignment. Nobody is crowding. Nobody is kala. Nobody is any dark hyperchromatic nuclei. Nothing is seen like that. But if you come here, this is normal. This is normal, right? But if you come here, you see there is crowding now. Cells are very close. They are very dark also. There is disordered arrangement happening. And disordered arrangement means I'm dealing with what? I'm dealing with dysplastic epithelium. Dysplastic epithelium means high NC ratio, pleomorphism, variation in the size and shape, and dark hyperchromasia. Dark hyperchromasia. But please remember, there is no invasion. There is no invasion. Okay? Hyperchromasia, no invasion. And this is the classical differentiating feature between dysplasia and anaplasia. Because in anaplasia also you see high NC ratio, you see pleomorphism, you see hyperchromasia, dark pycnotic nucleus. But the classical feature that you see in anaplasia is basement membrane invasion. This is the classical difference. But if you look at this image, we have arrow marked a feature for you. What is this arrow marked feature? This is your, yes, this is your classical Mercedes-Benz sign of mitotic figures. Mercedes-Benz sign of mitotic figures, right? Now, moving to my next table. Again, this is a highly important table because lots and lots of PYQs have been asked from this table. That is important oncogenes. Number 1, I know this is the last session, okay, for you and for me also, right? So please buckle up thoda sa, right? Now, first oncogene is RET. So RET ka loss of function mutation results in Hirschsprung disease. Whereas RET gain of function mutation results in medullary thyroid carcinoma and MEN2 syndrome. ALK mutation you see in ALCL and lung adenocarcinoma. For c-KIT mutation, yes, a repeatedly asked PYQ, it is seen in GIST, it is seen in GIST. ABL, again repeatedly asked PYQ, and I'm sure you already all know about this, both CML as well as ALL. Okay, next, KRAS. KRAS mutation is seen in colon carcinoma. KRAS mutation is seen in colon carcinoma and pancreatic carcinoma. Colon and pancreatic carcinoma. HRAS mutation you see in bladder tumors and kidney tumors. HRAS mutation you see in bladder tumors and kidney tumors. Next, NRAS mutation you see in melanomas. NRAS mutation you see in melanomas. Okay. Now, moving ahead, Notch mutation you see in both the LL, Notchal, ALL, CLL, both the LL, ALL, CLL. GOF is gain of function. ALCL is anaplastic large cell lymphoma. Hematology, you must have read about it, right? Now, CMYC. CMYC I'm going to see in very important PYQ, Chand Sitare, Burkitt lymphoma. CMYC in Burkitt, very good. LMYC is seen in small cell lung carcinoma. NMYC is for N for NMYC and N is for neuroblastoma. LMYC, small cell lung carcinoma, NMYC, neuroblastoma. EGFR, also called as ERBB1 for lung carcinoma. ERBB2, also called as HER2, yes, repeated PYQ, breast carcinoma. BRAF mutation, repeatedly asked PYQ, hairy cell leukemia, and the next one is reverse the alphabets. HCl ko ulta, reverse, LCH. HCl, reverse the LCH. JAK mutation is seen in myeloproliferative neoplasms. LCH is Langerhans cell histiocytosis. Langerhans cell histiocytosis is LCH. For JAK mutation in MPN, myeloproliferative neoplasms. Next question, who all come under myeloproliferative neoplasm? Polycythemia, essential thrombocythemia and myelofibrosis. All these three are myeloproliferative neoplasm. But please remember, again, a very important question from hematology. Polycythemia shows which particular JAK mutation? JAK2, V617F and JAK2 exon 12. So you have to remember these two important mutations of JAK. JAK2 V617F and JAK2V exon 12. Yaad rakhna hai, you have to remember. For essential thrombocythemia, these three mutations, apart from JAK, you are going to have CALR and MPL. JAK, CALR and MPL. JAK, CALR and MPL. Thank you, Soham. Thank you for bringing a smile on my face. Thank you. Amongst all the despair, a little ray of happiness. Okay, chalo. Moving ahead. Cyclin D1. Cyclin D1 mutation is seen in mantle cell lymphoma. Cyclin D1 in mantle cell lymphoma. Not much, just buckle up yourself. CDK4 in glioblastoma. CDK4 mutation, glioblastoma. Okay. Next, this was your oncogenes. Now I'm moving ahead with your tumor suppressor genes ka table. So remember, first tumor suppressor gene is P53 gene. Locations are already given to you. I will just fill up the blanks for you, right? So P53 mutation with syndrome, Lee-Frommani syndrome. Lee-Frommani syndrome. Okay. Next, RB gene is responsible for retinoblastoma and osteosarcoma. Next is your APC gene, colorectal carcinoma associated with FAP. Familial adenomatous polyposis. Next is NF1. NF1, neurofibromatosis 1 gene, neurofibromatosis 2 gene, it causes neurofibromatosis type 1, and NF2 gene causes neurofibromatosis type 2. CDK was for glioblastoma. Okay, FAP is familial adenomatous polyposis. Next, P10 gene, सदियों से एज ओल्ड क्वेश्चन, बाबा आदम, मोहनजोदाड़ो, हड़प्पा कल्चर क्वेश्चन. P10 mutation is associated with which syndrome? Yes, Cowden syndrome. Who all comes under Cowden syndrome? Mnemonic is BET. BET means breast carcinoma, endometrial carcinoma, and thyroid carcinoma. Breast, endometrial, and thyroid carcinoma. Next, VHL is for common sense, names, ditto, VHL syndrome. What comes under VHL? PYQ, RCC, and cerebellar hemangioblastomas. So what comes under VHL syndrome? So VHL syndrome patient is going to have renal cell carcinoma and your cerebellar hemangioblastoma. RCC and cerebellar hemangioblastoma. Okay. Next. Continuing. Very simple. WT1 causes Wilms tumor. Now, yes, this is very, very important. PYQs. BRCA1, BRCA2, both are PYQs. BRCA1 causes breast carcinoma and ovarian carcinoma. BRCA2 causes female to theek hai. This is a very, very important PYQ. Male breast carcinoma and prostate carcinoma. Male breast carcinoma and prostate carcinoma. Very important PYQ. Next is your tumor suppressor genes SMAT2, SMAT4. They are involved in the adenoma carcinoma sequence of colon carcinoma. Next, a very important PYQ. STK11, also called as LKB1 gene, responsible for Peutz Jeghers polyp, PJ polyp, Peutz Jeghers polyp. Next is your CDH1. Again, a very important PYQ. CDH1 causes diffuse type of gastric carcinoma and lobular type of breast carcinoma. Important PYQ. Diffuse type of gastric carcinoma, CDH1, and lobular type of breast carcinoma. Next, MSH2, MLH1, MSH6. Basically, I am dealing with what? MMR genes, mismatch repair genes. They are responsible for causing, number 1, yes, HNPCC. Again, previous year NEET PG question. HNPCC, which is also called as Lynch syndrome. HNPCC, also called as Lynch syndrome. MMR, methyl mismatch repair genes. Okay, so this is all regarding your important genes. Next table that I want to talk about is, now what I have done is I have comprised all the important translocations of your hematology at one place that you have to remember. No need to run here and there. This table is going to serve all the purpose. Number 1, 1421 translocation is going to be seen in Down syndrome. This is what? This is in fact a Robertsonian translocation. This is called as Robertsonian, 2 acrocentric chromosomes, a translocation between 2 acrocentric chromosomes, Robertsonian, 1421. Next, mantle cell lymphoma, translocation 1114, follicular 1418, Burkitt's. Now B for Burkitt's, and I can see 8 in my B. So that means 8 is constant. 2, 8, 814 and 822. 2, 8, 814 and 822. Next is ALCL. Please, I request all of you, focus here, focus here, focus here. This is wrong. Corrected. This is 25. This is 25, not 28. Okay? 25, 25. Next, AML M2. This is what? 821. 821. ML M3. This is 1517. M4 is inversion 16. M7 is 122. CML is 922. synovial sarcoma, not just hematology. I have included these 3 PYQs, translocations of systemic pathology as well. Synovial sarcoma, TX18, Ewing sarcoma, 1122, rhabdomyosarcoma, 113 and 213. Okay. Chalo ji. Now again, a very, very important PYQ table. No need to go here and there. Look for medicine. I am going to compile all the carcinogenesis agents here. Alkylating agents for leukemia, lymphoma, aromatic amines, for example, PYQ, benzidine. It causes transitional cell carcinoma of bladder. Transitional cell carcinoma of bladder. Now listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully. If question is asking benzidine, it is bladder carcinoma. If question is asking benzene, it is AML. At the end of this table, you are going to find it already written for you. So look here. This is transitional cell carcinoma of bladder, benzidine. Arsenic. Now see here. This arsenic, vinyl chloride, thorotrast. All three are going to cause one same thing, that is hepatic angiosarcoma. So I'm going to write short form here. Hepatic angiosarcoma. Hepatic angiosarcoma. Asbestos. Asbestos. If somebody asks which is the most common cancer associated with asbestos, my answer. What if somebody has already asked? This is a PYQ. Most common is bronchogenic carcinoma. But if somebody says most, again, it has been asked. Most specific cancer, that is mesothelioma. Yes, most common bronchogenic, most specific mesothelioma. Next is your tobacco smoke. Tobacco smoke causes squamous cell carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, small cell lung carcinoma. हो गया. Next, oropharyngeal carcinoma and renal cell carcinoma. So tobacco smoke is responsible for squamous cell carcinoma, small cell lung carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, oropharyngeal carcinoma and RCC. Okay. Next is going to be your ethanol. Ethanol causes hepatocellular carcinoma. Again a PYQ. Ethanol causes hepatocellular carcinoma. Okay. Chale aage. Next, moving ahead with my list, ionizing radiation causes papillary thyroid carcinoma and leukemias. Now here a very, very important PYQ, which is never associated with ionizing radiation, CLL. Please remember, I wrote leukemias. I specifically wrote leukemias. Which leukemia is never associated with ionizing radiation? Exception, CLL. Okay. Next is your nickel, chromium, beryllium and silica. Lung carcinoma. Next, nitrosamines means smoked food. Smoked food has nitrosamine. It causes gastric cancer. It causes gastric cancer. Very important question. Which gastric cancer? Intestinal type of gastric cancer. Intestinal type. There are two types, diffuse and intestinal. Intestinal type. This though I already told you. Benzene, AML. Benzene, AML. Okay. Now, moving ahead. Now again, see, I'm going to link it with your systemic path. Now your entire systemic pathology, you need not to open the chapters. You need not to open the tumors. I have compiled your entire systemic pathology, all the cancers, all the IHC markers at one place. What you have to remember one day before the exam, इधर उधर रन करने का कोई जरूरत नहीं है. कॉपी खोल के इधर से उधर से उठाने का जरूरत नहीं है. वो काम मैंने कर दिया. I have done it for you. I have compiled your entire systemic pathology, each and every IHC marker for you right now, right here in this list. Okay, let's start with me. If somebody asks me that I have a squamous cell carcinoma, let it be lung or esophagus, but it has to be a squamous cell carcinoma. They will be P40 and P63 positive. If somebody asks me which is a better marker, P40 or P53, I will say any day P50 then P63. Right? Next, lung adenocarcinoma markers. PYQ. This is also, by the way, a PYQ. Lung adenocarcinoma, napsin A and TTF1. napsin A and TTF1. Okay, napsin A and TTF1. Next, neuroendocrine tumors. For neuroendocrine tumors, write down the markers. Again, a PYQ. Synaptophysin, chromogranin, P40, P63. Synaptophysin, chromogranin, neuron specific enolase, and CD56. All these are markers for neuroendocrine tumors. Synaptophysin, chromogranin, neuron specific enolase, and CD56. Okay, so any neuroendocrine tumor of my body, whether it's your small cell lung carcinoma, gastrinoma, any neuroendocrine tumor of my body, these are the universal IHC markers that you have to remember. Next, solitary fibrous tumor, they are going to be STAT6 positive. Next is your mesothelioma. If I have to establish the malignancy of mesothelioma, the marker that I'm going to use is BAP1. BAP1. Beta, either it is SCC esophagus or SCC lung, same markers for both P40, P63. Okay, mesothelioma, if I have to determine the malignancy, they are going to be BAP1 positive. If I have to demonstrate the origin of mesothelioma, for that I am going to use calretinin. Squamous cell carcinoma is SCC, or small cell carcinoma is a neuroendocrine tumor. Okay, next, adenocarcinoma esophagus, they are going to be CK7 positive. I have kept all those IHC markers which you have to remember, which are normally asked. I don't want to go for the abnormality. I want to discuss the normal things that are asked in the exam. Next, again, a repeatedly asked PYQ. Important IHC marker for GIST. Repeatedly asked PYQ for GIST. Yes. So please remember, it's a PYQ. So the most common marker for GIST, if somebody says most common marker for GIST, yes, that is c-KIT. Most common is c-KIT, which is also called as CD117. But if the question is asking, in fact has been asked, most specific marker for GIST, DOJ1. Okay, c-KIT, CD117, both are same, and most specific is DOJ1. Next is your intestinal adenocarcinoma. For them, CK20 positive, CDX2 positive, and SATB2 positive. Next, glioblastoma, PYQ, they are GFAP positive. Oligodendroglioma, they are also GFAP positive. In fact, every glial origin tumor, whether it's glioblastoma, oligodendroglioma, astrocytoma, ependymoma, every glial origin tumor, every glioma is GFAP positive. They are GFAP positive. So next is pilocytic astrocytoma. This is also GFAP positive. Next, meningioma, Vimentin and EMA positive. Schwannoma, S100 positive. Seminoma, PYQ, please remember. OCT34 positive and NANOG positive. OCT34 NANOG. The first task is to collect all these IHC markers from this vast systemic pathology that I have done for you. Please, I have given you the list. I have done the important task of collecting. Now the next important task of memorizing is for you. So I've given you the list. You have to keep memorizing this list because it is being asked. Next, prostate adenocarcinoma. They are PSA positive, AMACR and ERG positive. Next, medullary thyroid carcinoma, calcitonin. Medullary thyroid carcinoma, calcitonin. Okay. Next, yolk sac tumor, which is also called as endodermal sinus tumor. They show alpha fetoprotein. Again, obs gynae, मैम ने आपको पढ़ाया है, AFP positive. What is the body? Obs gynae. Yesterday morning, which body you see in yolk sac tumor or endodermal sinus tumor? Yes, Schiller dual body, PYQ, Schiller dual body. Good. Next, Granulosa cell tumor, which HC marker? They show inhibin positivity. Again, your obs gynae question yesterday morning session. Granulosa cell tumor shows which body? Call Exner body. कैसे याद रखें इसको? Calling your X should be inhibited. Calling your X should be inhibited. Call Exner body. Okay. Next, for hepatocellular carcinoma, if I want to check the hepatic origin, HepPAR1 is the marker. If I want to test the malignancy of hepatocellular carcinoma, Glypican-3 and arginase 1. Glypican-3 and arginase 1. Right? Next is osteosarcoma. They are SAT-B2 positive. They are SAT-B2 positive. Okay. Next, Ewing sarcoma, CD99 positive. But if I ask that in 2 days time in laboratory, which is the best marker that I use, NKX 2.2. That is the best marker. Okay. Achha, listen. There is one tumor of CNS which I call in my words as the tasty tumor of brain. Which is that tasty tumor which I call oligodendroglioma. Why tasty? Because it has two things to eat. One is fried egg appearance and second is chicken wire pattern. Chicken wire pattern of capillaries and fried egg appearance of what? Cells. Okay. So oligodendroglioma, tasty tumor of brain. Both fried egg is going to be there and chicken wire pattern of capillaries is going to be there. Okay. Now, please, 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 I want all of you to be fully concentrated, right? Now, we are approaching towards the last now. Okay, so this is very important. If you want to solve every pedigree that is being thrown at you in the exam, this is one thing that is going to help you. So listen to me carefully. I want full of your concentration now. Whenever you have a pedigree in front of you, you have to follow a rule that is a 2G rule. What is 2G? First is you have to look for G for gender. Means either male is affected, female is affected, or both male, female affected. And obviously, if both male and female affected, that means I'm dealing with what? I'm dealing with a autosomal disorder. Okay. Next G is for generation. Next G is for generation. Number one means you will see whether all generations are being involved. That means you are looking for a dominant pedigree. It can be autosomal dominant or a X-linked dominant. But if the generations are being skipped, that means this is a recessive pedigree. It can be autosomal, it can be X-linked, looking at the pedigree. So this is the 2G rule that you have to follow. Okay. Now, keeping this in mind, if I have a pedigree in front of me, and the classical and the most commonly asked pedigree, which is the most easiest to recognize, is that if I can see that mother is giving disease to all the children and father to none of the children, this is a classical pedigree of mitochondrial inheritance. This is the first pedigree which can be picked up in nick of a second. Okay. Next. Now, you are following a 2G rule. The first G, you looked for the gender. And in that you saw that only males are being affected. Females are not at all affected. They are totally normal. Then you looked for that generation and you saw all generations are affected. And when you saw that each and every male of each and every generation is being affected, that means you are dealing with a Y-linked inheritance, also called as Holandric inheritance. ठीक है? Holandric inheritance. Next, you are following a 2G rule, and in that 2G rule you saw that only males are having disease, and when you followed the second G for generation, you saw that the generations are being skipped. Generation skipping means it is going to be recessive, but only males are having the disease. So males having the disease and female being carriers with skipping of the generation is a classical X-linked recessive pedigree. So only males are affected, females carriers, generation being skipped. This is a X-linked recessive pedigree. Good. Next, Again, I'm following the 2G rule. I saw first G for gender. I saw both male, female are affected. That means this is going to be autosomal. Next, I went for generation. I saw generations are being skipped. So autosomal with skipping, autosomal recessive pedigree. Autosomal recessive pedigree. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to follow the 2G rule. First G is for gender. I saw both male and female are having the disease. So that means the first thing that comes in my mind is both male, female means it must be autosomal. It must be autosomal. Then I went for the next G, that was my generation, and I saw all the generations being affected. So obviously generation all infected, matlab dominant pedigree, right? But listen to me carefully, carefully, carefully. I want full of your attention here right now with me. If you see both male, female, if you see all generation, the first thing that you have to check is कि ऐसा तो नहीं है, is it not like that father is giving disease to all the daughters and mother is giving disease to 50% of the offsprings? If this is the case, then in that scenario, my answer is going to be X-linked dominant pedigree. So please carefully. And if you see that aisa nahi hai, it is not like that, father is giving disease to all the daughters and mother is giving disease to 50% of the offsprings, then okay. At the end of the day, you are going to say this is an autosomal dominant pedigree. So I mean to say that autosomal dominant should be the last pedigree that should come in your mind, right? So autosomal dominant pedigree has to be the last one that should come in your mind. First, please rule out whether it is X-linked dominant or not. Okay. Now, coming back. Now my work is over. I have told you how to decode the pedigrees. Now your work is started because you are going to answer me these pedigrees. Okay. So what I have to do is, I'm seeing this pedigree in front of me. I'm seeing when female is having the disease, all children are having the disease. When father is having the disease, none of the child is having the disease. So that means this is going to be, yes, absolutely correct, mitochondrial pedigree. Very good. Shabash. Now look here. Look at this pedigree. I'm seeing first generation, no disease. Okay? So that means there is skipping of generation. But if I look at the sex, if I look at the gender, males, only males are having the disease, whereas this Chandrama Bindu is a carrier female. So skipping with males having disease, carrier females, yani ki I am dealing with a yes, X-linked recessive pedigree. Okay. Okay. Yes. Look at this pedigree. I'm seeing first G. Male. All males are having the disease. Now I look for the generation. First generation disease, yes. Second generation, yes. Third generation, yes. That means this is a Y-linked or the absolutely correct Hollandric inheritance. Okay. Coming to this pedigree. Male having the disease, yes. First G is for gender. Female having the disease, yes. So that means autosomal. First generation disease, yes. Second generation, no. Third generation, yes. Yani ki generation is skipped. So this is autosomal recessive pedigree. Very good. Absolutely correct you guys are. Now have a look here. First G is for gender. Male having the disease, yes. Female having the disease, yes. First generation, yes. Second generation, yes. Third generation, yes. Is it happening like that father is giving disease to only all the daughters? No. Father is giving disease to son as well. So this is not X-linked dominant. This is autosomal dominant pedigree. No. Focus. Father to son nahi hai. There is no father to son transmission. Father will give disease to all the daughters. No father to son. Okay. Now come here. Look at this pedigree. Male affected? Yes. Female affected? Yes. And first generation disease? Yes. Second? Yes. Third, yes. Fourth, yes. But am I seeing this? Yes. Father is giving disease to all the daughters and mother is giving disease to 50% of the offspring. So that means this is X-linked dominant pedigree. Yes, absolutely correct. X-linked dominant pedigree. So with this, we have decoded all the important pedigrees that you have to remember for your exam. Now these are your trinucleotide repeat disorder. You need to know the repeats. So for Fragile X syndrome, CGG repeats. CGG repeats. Skip generation has to happen for recessive, whether it's X-linked recessive or autosomal recessive. Next, for Frederick ataxia, it is GAA, GA repeats. For myotonic dystrophy, CTG repeats. Okay, so you have to remember that. Next, now all these three, Huntington, Kennedy, and spinocerebellar ataxia, all three show thankfully on same repeats. एक ही नाम याद करना है. We have to remember only one name, that is CAG repeats. So all these three shows CAG repeats. Okay. Now I'm moving towards these two genomic imprinting disorders, and these two disorders, they involve classically what? Chromosome number 50. Which genes are going to be affected? So listen to me carefully. If SNORP set of genes are going to be imprinted on the mother and the same set of genes are going to be deleted on the father, this results in a imprinting disorder. Now, this is my way. This is my way of remembrance, that whoever gets deleted, I'm going to give importance to that person for the nomenclature. What do I mean by this? That if paternal, if paternal, if papa is getting deleted, that means this is a Prader-Willi syndrome. This is Prader-Willi syndrome. Now, if I look at the other part of an imprinting disorder, that if UBE3A genes gets imprinted on the father and the same UB3A genes gets deleted on the mother, and I said we give importance to who gets deleted, and here who is getting deleted? Mother is getting deleted, and mother, who are they in our lives? Angel. So this is called as Angelman syndrome. Called as Angelman syndrome. And please remember an important PYQ. Angelman syndrome people are called as happy puppets. Why happy? Because of the inappropriate laughter. That's why happy. And puppets because of the ataxia. Ataxia. Okay. Happy puppets because of the inappropriate laughter and ataxia. Okay, now moving ahead, this is a karyotype in front of you. आपसे पूछा जा रहा है, the question is being asked that which type of karyotyping method for staining has been used here. So here, what is being highlighted? My centromeres are being highlighted. So which banding technique has been used here? C banding technique, where C stands for centromeric banding, which particularly stains your centromere. So there was a PYQ. For dicentric chromosome, which banding technique is used? Dicentric means a chromosome like this, who has two centromeres. So basically I'm focusing on centromere. So dicentric ke liye bhi I'm going to use C banding. For dicentric chromosome also I use C banding. This is a PYQ. But if somebody asks, if it has been asked, it is a PYQ, which is the most common bending technique? The answer is G banding, where G stands for GIMSA. So most common is G banding, where G stands for GIMSA, and for dicentric chromosomes we use C banding. Or I can say for classification, that is written beneath the image that has been given to you. Classification of chromosomes ke liye bhi, for these also I use C banding, because chromosome classification, if you remember from your biochemistry, metacentric, submetacentric, telocentric, they are being given on the basis of position of centromere. So for centromere, I use C banding. For Y chromosome, I can feel it can be a future prospective MCQ. We use Q banding. We use Q banding. Okay. Now, karyotyping related some important questions. For karyotyping, you arrest the cells at which phase? Metaphase. You arrest the cells at metaphase. And how do you arrest them? By using colchicine. By using colchicine. And how do you fix them? By using a fixative which is called as Carnoy's fixative. So metaphase, colchicine and Carnoy's fixative. Okay, next. Now, important questions related to karyotype are done. My work is over. Now your work has been started because you have to diagnose. You have to diagnose these karyotypes. Those are in front of you. Now your TikTok time starts. Tell me, what is the first diagnosis? What am I seeing here? What am I seeing here? This is what? Yes, classical trisomy 21. So this is a karyotype of Down syndrome. Focus. What is the diagnosis of this karyotype? क्या दिख रहा है मुझे? What I am seeing here? Yes, trisomy 13. यानी कि I am dealing with Patau syndrome here. Trisomy 13, Patau. Focus here. What am I seeing here? Yes, trisomy 18 means yes, Edward syndrome. It is Edward. Okay. Fatafat. Yes, yes. In front of your eyes. X, X, Y. That means this is what? This is a Klinefelter. This is Klinefelter. Yes, look here. This is what? X, O. There is only single X chromosome. That means I am dealing with what? Turner female, Turner syndrome. Now, listen to me carefully. Now, the examiner, what does examiner do is, examiner makes it little easier for you. If examiner wants you to focus on a particular chromosome on a karyotype, examiner will either circle that chromosome or it will put some arrows on the chromosome. So, if you look at the next karyotype, the circle has been put on the chromosome number 5. So, basically, the karyotype is telling you a chromosome 5 related disorder, which I am talking about. Which disorder? Yes, this is Cry-do-chat syndrome, which is also called as cat-cry syndrome. 5p deletion. Cry-do-chat or cat-cry syndrome, that is 5p deletion. Okay. Now, going to the next karyotype. Now tell me, what are you seeing in this karyotype? Focus. This is what? This is trisomy 22. What is trisomy 22? This is cat-eye. ध्यान से, carefully. Cat-eye syndrome. This is eye. Trisomy 22 is cat-eye syndrome. Cat-eye syndrome. Okay. Now, again, look here. Arrow marks have been made on which two chromosome? Chromosome number 9 and chromosome number 22. So basically, examiner wants me to focus where? Translocation 922. That means the diagnosis of this karyotype is CML. This is your CML. Okay, next karyotype. Examiner has made only one arrow. Where? On chromosome 16. One arrow. One arrow means translocation? No. For that I need two chromosomes. What is that chromosomal disorder which happens on single chromosome? Inversion. This is inversion 16. And inversion 16 is seen in, I just made you write down, M4AML. So this is a karyotype of AML. Okay. Now, I just kept this image because, just say for example, in hematology, there was a PYQ image of thromboelastogram was given to you. TEG image was given and they have asked you what is this modality and you had to mark TEG. So for that purpose, I have kept a photo of this particular modality if question comes. So these basically are your fish images, fluorescence in situ hybridization. Okay, so these are fish images. First of all, have a look here. Have a look here. So if you focus here, it is saying that red color is for ABL gene and green is for BCR. So if I see here, red is for ABL, green is for BCR. But I can see that here my red and green are mixing with each other. That means I am seeing what? BCR ABL fusion gene. And you know from hematology, BCR ABL means I'm talking about 922. Yani ki I'm talking about CML here. And in fact, fish is the investigation of choice for CML. So this fish image is exactly telling you a CML patient. Okay. Now, focus here. Focus here. What is this? 21 red. 1, 2, 3. That means I'm having trisomy 21. That means my diagnosis is Down syndrome. So this is a fish image of Down syndrome. Next. Now I have been told that HER2 is given in green in color. So I'm seeing HER2, 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 HER2. Okay, I can see some scant green HER2. But if I see here, oh my God, so much of green, so much of green, so much of green, so much of green. What is happening? Amplification of HER2 happening. बहुत ज़्यादा, too much of green amplification. And HER2 amplification, we know from the knowledge of hematology as well as surgery, this is a fish image of which patient? Breast carcinoma patient. This is a breast carcinoma fish image. Okay. Now, the next image, again, purely just for identification purpose. Yes, this image can be given and it can be asked to you that which but particular test is being done here. So this is your CGH array, comparative genomic hybridization array. Now basically this test is important for research purposes because in this single test you can detect multiple mutations. Because in this image what you are seeing is green, red and yellow colors. Each color represents a single gene locus. So imagine there are so many genes which can be tested at a single point of time. Multiple mutations in a single test, CGH array. That's it. Itna bahut hai. Need not to go further. It is not going to be asked. Okay. Now, I'm being asked ample number of times, ma'am, inheritance related question every time comes in the exam. Very important PYQs. Can you give us some mnemonic through which all the important inheritance can be covered? So I said, okay, let's do it. So this is a snapshot from my class only. These are the important inheritances, disorders, AD, AR, XLD, XLR. These are in front of you. I have given it to you. You can enjoy these inheritances and you can solve as many as questions you want to. Okay. So with this, thank you so much. I know it was very, very difficult for all of you to sit for so long, but thank you for being patiently listening to me, supporting me all the time. I have compiled all the important things for you and I want lots and lots of best wishes and I want all of you to succeed in life, to do good in life, and I just want you to achieve heights in your future. My best wishes are always with you. Good night, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye. Signing off.